I don't think God wants people to be poor. The question I ask all over the world, what does school teach you about money? And the answer is nothing. And that's not a mistake. That's not an accident. I knew that. Most people know that. But the way to keep the poor and middle class working hard is never teach them what the rich know. One of the things I suggest to people, you got to find a real teacher versus a fake teacher. And a fake teacher is somebody who doesn't do what they teach. And a real teacher is doing what they teach every day. You know, we know the banking system's corrupt. We know politics is corrupt, but academics is just as corrupt. They don't want what we know out there. What is financial education? It's not get a job, work hard, save money, and invest in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. That's not it. And we still tell kids to go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, and get out of debt. Now, who tells them to do that? That's the most ridiculous thing there is.
The book starts and it says, lie number 1, saving money will make you rich.
Yeah, it never will. You know that.
All taught that as kids.
Yeah, because they can print it. Why would you save it and why would you work for it if they can print it as faster than you can work for it? Why do you keep saving when they're printing it? It's so risky. What you're saying is risky. And I said, what I do isn't risky for me, but it's risky for you. And when somebody says, what is risk? You have to look in the mirror. Do you know what I mean? For me to fly in Vietnam, that was high risk. But the higher the risk, the more you have to study. You know that, I know that. So if you're not going to study, you're not going to practice and all that, then you should do what Wall Street tells you to do. Buy, 401ks, mutual funds, ETFs and all that. But that's where they're fake assets, because they only make Wall Street or the city of London rich. Just watch where the cash is flowing. Follow the money.
Yeah.
It's not making the poor middle class rich. All Wall Street in America has done is rip off the pensions, because pensions are the biggest pool of money in America. And states like Kentucky, New Jersey, Illinois, California, Hawaii are going bankrupt because Wall Street went in and just sucked all the cash out of their pensions. So the school teachers like my dad, the firefighters and police officers, they have no retirement now. And so that's why it's fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. They're the same system. People that are being screwed today are the poor middle class because they work for money. The banker friends, they're not working for money.
They have money working for them.
Yeah.
Right. How does the fake teachers coming in from there, they reinforce those same ideas? They teach us to be employees, right? To not make mistakes.
Go to school,
right? Get
a job.
And it's very subtle, right?
Yep.
They don't say, I'm going to train you to be a worker bee the rest of your life, but they educate you in a way where that's what you come out.
Right. And it goes back to the question I have always asked, why doesn't our school teach us about money? Because Wall Street won't let them.
You got a different education about money with your rich dad.
Correct. I said, I want you to teach me about money. So I said, why should I teach you? You go to school, your dad's going to, my poor dad's not going to teach you. He says, I said, oh, finally he acquiesced. He said, okay. He said, but if I teach you, you work for me for free. And I said, why for free? And my poor dad went nuts. He says, if I pay you, you think like an employee. Your brain will change. If you learn never to work for money, you'll be a rich man. So my dad, the poor dad.
And the backstory for people, your dad was the poor dad.
Right.
PhD.
Stanford, Northwestern, University of Chicago, the head of education for the state of Hawaii, candidate for lieutenant governor of Hawaii as a Republican of all things. They know nothing about money. And they teach our kids.
Right. This is powerful. Once you give someone a paycheck, their brain turns off.
Correct.
Because
and then the promise of a pension.
Right.
And job security.
Which is kind of a paycheck in disguise.
Correct.
After you stop working. Back to that old analogy, give the man a fish, eats for the day, teach him to fish, eats for a lifetime.
One is capitalism, one is socialism.
Right. Most poor people confuse assets for liabilities. They think their home is an asset. It's actually a liability.
Right. Cash flow is a verb. So to understand if it's an asset or liability, it takes a noun plus verb. So if the cash is flowing out of your pocket, it's a liability. If the cash is flowing into your pocket, asset, verb, it's an asset. So I own 7,000 rental properties. Those are assets. Every month, the cash flows in. Whereas many people have the big house on the hill and the cash is flowing out.
Right.
And they're going broke. And so these guys are screaming right now in America, tax the rich. I said, good luck. The tax laws are for everybody. You know, we don't say, well, the tax laws are only for the rich. No, the tax laws are for everybody to use if you have the right financial education. And the reason I'm an advocate of financial education, without that education, you have to pay taxes. You see, very few people will buy what I do, make $1 million and pay zero tax. That takes, and my rich dad taught me that playing Monopoly. That's how it started. You know, 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. Or the McDonald's formula. I write about it here. McDonald's, Ray Kroc.
Yeah.
McDonald's is in the real estate business. So they sell hamburgers, but they buy real estate, so they pay no taxes. You know, this guy Bezos, he's $16 billion. How much tax did they pay on that $16 billion? Zero. I mean, to me, what's risky is having a job and paying taxes.
Yeah.
And saving money because they're printing it. If you really want to be rich, take a class on real estate. I didn't know at the time, but once you understand real estate is based on debt. So once you learn how to use debt as money, you can never say, I can't afford it. Every publisher turned me down. They said, you don't know what you're talking about. Because they said savers were losers. Your house is not an asset, and the rich don't work for money. And so the publishers are like my dad, academic superstars, you know, they're A students in school. So they turned the book down. And it took going by self-published route. You know, a lot of network marketing companies picked up the book, and they picked up the book to help recruit because it's about financial independence. They're about the same thing I am. And then Oprah called in 2000. And then the next thing I'm on Oprah, and I went from obscurity to world famous in overnight success in 2000. And the book has been on the New York Times bestsellers for 7 years until the New York Times took it off. They said it had been on too long. We all have fear. You know, to be truthful, we all have fear. It's just how you deal with it. You know, Einstein said, you know, imagination is more important than knowledge, but knowledge empowers imagination. And what most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, you know, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody.